more than 100 unopened packages found dumped in the trash, Wayland police say. In Wayland, Massachusetts. I don't even know where that is. This is like out in Dragon Country. I've never heard of fucking Wayland, Massachusetts. More than 100 unopened, undelivered package found dumped in the trash may be part of a larger scam, according to Wayland police. On Monday, Wayland resident Lori Goles notified police that she saw 4 unopened packages with shipping labels still on them in a trash bin on Commonwealth Road. The next day, she called the police saying there were more discarded packages in the trash. There were dozens of package, Goles said. I called the police right away and had them come down. Laid them all out. There were tons of package. All of the packages were addressed to people living in the area. A preliminary investigation determined that the packages had been marked and documented as delivered, but residents and community members never received them, police said. I have had, like, at this point, 8 or 9 of my packages mysteriously go missing or been kicked back, returned to sender from, like, giant box stores. So like, yeah, that is mysterious. Why is this happening all over I'm not even in Massachusetts right now, and I'm having this fucking happen. Someone hates their job with an unrivaled fury, it seems. When I had a P.O. box down in Georgia, half of my shit would never even get delivered to the P.O. box. They would just be like, oh, we tried to deliver, but we couldn't deliver, and so we're sending it back to the sender. What the fuck, man? Police located more than 100 package, which all appeared to be from the same delivery service, Uni. Wayland police are working with Uni to make sure the packages are properly delivered to community members. I've never heard of Uni. Is that like a Chinese alternative to FedEx? I don't know who this is. The same situation also happened in Sudbury. I know where that is. Parker Bentley found undelivered packages in a dumpster near his business, Wild Birds. Bentley said he knew some of the people whose names were on the shipping labels. Most had shipping labels with phone numbers on them, and we started calling them. Just tried calling them to come pick up the packages, which is unironically what I would do as well. If I found someone's package or a bunch of abandoned package, I don't think I would alert the postal service. I would just call the people the packages are supposed to go to if they had a number on the package. That is how little faith I have in the postal service to accurately deliver mail at this point in time. The person who reported the discarded packages suspects the incident may be a part of a recent package scam affecting residents across multiple towns, as they had seen an influx of social media posts about individuals looking for their packages that appeared to have been delivered to the wrong addresses. The people who do the delivery do them in their own personal cars. They pick them up, and as they are scanning them, showing them a picture of the house, and that's what they are getting, Wayland police said. To Uni, it looks like the packages were being delivered. I think the, like, picture proof of delivery is a good idea, but a lot of the picture proof of delivery I've been given, like recently, when I had some packages actually get delivered, I had like a large package with like my mattress in it. And then I had another package that was delivered, and the guy that delivered the second package put it perfectly behind the large package box and then took a picture of the large package box as proof of delivery. So when I opened the picture, I was like, well, that's not this package, and I don't see that package in the picture. So that's kind of weird. And then there was another one who put a package down, but he took the picture in a way so that like only the corner of the package was visible, and his like one leg and foot was visible, and everything had like an insane amount of blur on it because he took it really fast while turning, I guess. And I was like, how the fuck is this supposed to be proof of delivery? I can't even tell where outside my fucking bunker you put it. Sam Lowe is still looking for his online orders. Well, maybe he should look high. My biggest complaint is that they operate as an Uber operation, but they don't do enough background checks or a tracking system. Uni is working with local police departments to ensure the packages are delivered, the company told News Center 5. However, consumer watchdogs say buyers should read the fine print when they order something online to make sure they know who the final delivery service is. Wayland police are seeking the public's assistance and ask residents and community members who may have information about this incident to please contact the Wayland Police Department. The department has notified the Middlesex District Attorney's Office of the ongoing investigation. Vexoria said that she had a very uncomfortable experience at Offkai. Please respect creators and their space at cons, seen too many friends made uncomfortable already. Most folks are super cool, reasonable, and understanding, but had a few that would hover a few feet away and follow her and her friends. Someone who tracked her through Artist Alley far enough that Zohran had to escort her out and duck between booths to get away. Please don't do that. That's fucking creepy, man. Why would someone do that? Why would someone fucking do that?
There was one incident where
I like her little cat.
I did get followed, which made me uncomfortable, but it was okay because Zohran got me out of that situation pretty quickly because he realized it too, and he was very much like, okay, we need to leave, we need to do some things to get out of here, because that's one thing I will say, guys, like, if you're ever at these conventions and you see people that you really respect and look up to, please don't follow them.
That's crazy that she even has to make a statement like that. If there's someone that you respect, please don't follow them. I feel like that just comes default, where like, if you respect someone, you're not going to stalk them. That's actually crazy that this is something that has to be said out loud. Hey, don't be a fucking creepy stalker, my guy.
Like, we're people too. We want to shop, or we want to talk to people. Like, don't follow, because then it gets really, really creepy.
Yes.
Like, it gets really creepy, and it makes people really uncomfortable really quickly. Like, put yourself in their position. Like, let's pretend you're, like, a celebrity online or whatever, and you're just trying to shop for yourself, and you're being followed and stalked around wherever you're going. Like, you're trying to go to the bathroom and someone follows and waits outside. You're trying to shop for yourself.
That is insanely creepy. If I like used a public restroom and I came out and I noticed that somebody who had been like sort of following me around like artist booths or whatever just also happened to be outside the bathroom, that is like peak fucking creepy right there. That is like, this man is going to get in his car and follow me to my fucking hotel if I don't do something. That is incredibly creepy. Holy fuck. I'm glad she had people there with her to fucking help her out of the situation.
You're trying to talk to your friends and people are just stopping like 8 feet away from you every time and watching, and you know that they're watching. It
is creepy. That's the point. He wants to be scary. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to be known as like that creepy fucking guy who was like smelling the bathroom waiting for me to come out, right? Like, why would you want to be known for that? Weird kink? Yeah, but that like just makes you disgusting.
It's really uncomfortable. So it's one of those things where please don't do that. Respectfully, let your content creators, let your Oshis be themselves and walk around and have a good time. So don't do that, guys. It's not cool. And then here's the other big no-no too. Like, don't do that. And then, like, if somebody asks you to not do it, continue to do it. Don't do that.
Yeah, again, like I said with all that mango stuff, if somebody tells you to fucking stop, you stop. And if you keep doing it, you can't complain when they try to get you kicked out of wherever the fuck you are. You have made people uncomfortable. You have crossed lines. Like, don't fucking do that, man. If you ask him, he'll do it 2 times harder. I would, like, commit that dude's visage to memory and go find, like, the nearest con security. You know? Like that. Like, I would just be like, I want to get the fuck out, but also, if they're stalking me, what if they just latch onto a different target after I leave? You know? Like, that's a contact con security and be like, here's the description of this. Maybe even take a fucking picture of him, right? Maybe even take a picture of the fucking creep and bring it to the con security.
Like, as content creators, and if we're all friends and everything, we all talk to each other.
Is this a bad time to say you love how ornate their model looks? No, her model's fucking beautiful. You can't see it because my big dumb head's in the way, but she's got a really fucking cute cat. A little cute fucking cat down there in the corner.
Like, it's not like we don't. We are all talking to each other behind the scenes about people that are not good people.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Just understand the risk of being a public person. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, all of us understand the risk. We all know that there are going to be creepy people. But just because we know that there are going to be people who are going to be creepy, doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about it, right? Like, the only way people are going to know is if you talk about it. AJ the Groundhog, thank you. All the issues at Offkai makes me want FazeCon to happen more. Here's hoping that FazeCon comes to full fruition. Please come to Florida. Meeting the Gabbit and Foxu would be awesome. Still have no idea. We don't have more information yet, so I still don't know if it's going to be a Phase-centric con or if it's going to be like PAX, where Phase is the name and the face, but they're open to like everyone. We'll have to see when they announce more info for next year. Sean Duncan, thank you. You really respect a lot of the VTubers you follow, and you wouldn't want to be in the same room as at least 70% of them. Why? Imagine getting stuck in an elevator with Kirsche during a sounding tangent. You can't escape. That's true. What horrors you might learn locked in that elevator with me. Savvy said, this is real. I googled the official website, clicked on that, go to the platform, opened up the homeowner tab, click on read policy, and it opens a Google Doc. Go to page 4. Shift the tax burden to whiter neighborhoods. I'd like this to be fake. I'd like to believe this information is not his. This is who white people and Asians elected, as those demographics were the highest who voted for this. Anyone who voted for him should not be allowed to leave NYC for 8 years. I would say even beyond that. If you vote for someone who wants to institute racialized policies, you should be hard locked to whatever state you voted for that person in. So everyone who voted for this mayor should never be allowed to leave New York City ever again. They've lost their freedom of movement because they want to import racist policies. Zohran NYC official website. We got the Zohran for New York City. You got all the links here. Zohran supporting homeowners and ending deed theft. And then you click on the read the policy memo and it opens a Google Doc. And then in the Google Doc, the Mamdani administration will address this deeply inequitable system using the full power of the mayor's office to both address the system directly and working with legislators at the state level to win necessary reforms. In the long term, these changes will include implementing much of the New York City Advisory Commission on Property Tax Reform's 2021 recommendations, which are comprehensive. However, shorter-term, immediate relief is necessary. The administration will shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. The property tax system is unbalanced because assessment levels are artificially, that might say tapped, so homeowners in expensive neighborhoods pay less than their fair share. The mayor can fix this by pushing class assessment percentages down for everyone and adjusting rates up, effectively lowering tax payments for homeowners in neighborhoods like Jamaica and Brownsville, while raising the amount paid in the most expensive Brooklyn brownstones. Make Whitey pay for it. I'm a little confused here, right? Because, like, your property tax is based on the valuation of your home. And the valuation of your home is based on a whole bunch of different factors, including the location where your home is at and the people that live around you. So your neighbors can either bring up or down the value of your house depending on how they keep their lawns or how much trash they keep outside or how dilapidated or taken care of their houses are. So it seems a little silly to go to, like, areas where people might take a bit better care of their homes, and that's why they live in a more expensive area, and then say you need to pay even more tax than you already are for living here. I don't know. That seems a bit strange. And go back 20 odd years and tell New Yorkers that they would be electing a Muslim socialist. Oh god, I don't know if I can play it on stream, but the current mayor of New York, so this Zohran guy, he won the primary but he still has to win, like, the actual election. And I think the mayor of New York right now is some black dude. I can't remember his name. But he got up and he said something kind of funny. He said something kind of funny.
So this is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them.
That's crazy. That's crazy that he would just go and say that. Moment. That's crazy. What year is this? I don't know what year it is, but this man is making it whatever year he fucking wants to. He has the pass. He's getting cheers too. The mayor can fix this by pushing class assessment percentages down for everyone and adjusting rates up. I don't trust this guy to be able to do it accurately. I don't trust this guy. Advocate for the inclusion of circuit breakers to ensure that low and moderate income homeowners, like many of our seniors living in gentrifying neighborhoods, are not cost burdened by the changes. Low and moderate income homeowners, like seniors living in gentrifying neighborhoods. So certain people who are living in gentrified neighborhoods won't be subject to this increased tax burden, even though they live in a richer neighborhood. How interesting. Stop treating co-ops and condos as if they were rentals. The Mamdani administration will work with state lawmakers to abolish real property tax law section 581, which compares condos and co-ops to rental properties and creates arbitrary and inequitable tax burdens on moderate and low income owners. But isn't that what they are? Isn't that why Florida's having issues now? Is because all these people bought condos to have as like rental investment units and now they can't sell them. So I feel like this isn't going to help anything. Also, that's crazy. I just looked down at the like below help homeowners comply with local law 97. Local law 97 was a historic win for climate justice. What a phrase. I don't know how you could vote for something called climate justice and not feel like a lunatic. Requiring buildings to reduce greenhouse emissions 40% by 2030 and 80% by 2050. Implementation to date has been sorely lacking, with little support for homeowners who cannot afford the improvements necessary to comply with the law, and weak enforcement towards the large landlords and developers who can afford improvements but ignore the requirements. Gee, I wonder why they ignore the requirements. Someone else had retweeted before Savvy quote retweeted them, the whiter neighborhoods understand where we are. I've understood where we've been for like almost 2 years now. I've been screeching about it for over a year and a half. Someone eventually will listen. And then Benny Johnson here had a tweet that says, exclusive, the Department of Justice Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dhillon, threatens to investigate, well, he said communist, but this guy says he's a socialist. I know it's like potato, but socialist Zohran Mamdani over his illegal racist proposal to tax white Americans more as New York City mayor. Racial discrimination is illegal in the United States, period, full stop. The illegal discriminatory scheme described by Mamdani would violate federal constitutional and statutory norms, and might even violate New York law, Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dhillon has said. And I think that's interesting, because if he had been less on the nose and he just said shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer neighborhoods, and he left out the whiter entirely, I think a lot more people would have been taken in by him doing this covertly, which again is part of what the Bridge Initiative is supposed to do. They're teaching everyone how to be more covert and less out in the open with what they're trying to do. Oh, there's an article from Newsweek here. Very lucky to have Harmeet Dhillon in her role. Does Mamdani plan to tax white Americans if he becomes mayor? Mamdani's tax plan targets wealthier neighborhoods, not race directly. Oh, Grok. Oh, Grok. Oh, you silly. His campaign mentions shifting property taxes to richer and whiter neighborhoods, sparking debate. What do you mean? He just contradicted. Oh, God. What else do we have in this tweeter thread? Framing is class-based, not race-based, but everyone knows what's going on here. See, this is a person that doesn't know how to read. He's framing it as both class and race-based, because, like, why would he say whiter neighborhoods if it wasn't going to be race-based, right? Like, there'd be no reason to say that. There's this article that says, Zohran Mamdani declares his socialist platform should spread to the rest of the country. I think ultimately this is a campaign about inequality. Socialist candidate for New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has said that his platform should be applied by Democrats in other parts of the United States. His comments come in the days following his win in the Democratic primary for the role. During his appearance on MSNBC with host Jen Psaki, who asked the socialist nominee about his policies, do you think that is a platform that would work for other candidates running in other parts of the country?
You're running on issues that are very relevant to people in New York City, the cost of housing, free busing. Some have projected, that this is the type of platform that would work in other parts of the country. I mean, you're a proud democratic socialist. Do you think that is a platform that would work for other candidates running in other parts of the country?
Absolutely. I think ultimately this is a campaign about inequality. And you don't have to live in the most expensive city in the country to have experienced that inequality, because it's a national issue. And what Americans coast to coast are looking for are people who will fight for them, not just believe in the things that resonate with their lives, but actually fight and deliver on those very things. And part of how we got to this point was through the endorsements of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders, who've been leading this fight against oligarchy across the country. And I think that in focusing on working people and their struggles, we also return back to what makes so many of us proud to be Democrats in the first place.
I don't know if you should say that, like, the socialist policies are what make people feel proud to be Democrats. Like, it feels like most of the Democratic Party has indeed gone fucking insane. But saying that every single Democrat is either a socialist or a communist, I think would be also an insane take to have. Bernie Sanders, the guy who takes a lot of pharma money and flies private. The guy who, I am once again asking for your financial assistance. It was all about them millionaires needing to pay their fair share. Oh, what's that? I'm a millionaire. It's time for the billionaires to pay their fair share.
I think it is part of a larger referendum on where our party goes. And I think one of the hopes that we had from the very beginning of this campaign was to move our political instinct from lecturing to listening. You know, at the national level, after the presidential election, we saw that New York was actually the state with the largest swing in the country towards Donald Trump, 11.5 points, and that swing took place far from the caricature of Trump voters, instead taking place in the hearts of immigrant New York City. And I went to those neighborhoods. I went to Fordham Road in the Bronx and Hillside Avenue in Queens, and I asked those New Yorkers, the vast majority of whom were Democrats, why they voted for Trump and what it would take to bring them back to the Democratic Party.
And they said,
and again and again, what I heard from them was cost of living, was an inability to afford the very things they recalled being able to purchase 4 years ago. And when they told me what it would take, they said again and again a relentless focus on an economic agenda. And ultimately, in listening to them, we built a campaign that was explicitly about making this city affordable.
It's not going to be really making it affordable, because under communism, everybody might be equal, but it's equally shitty, unfortunately. They're done once price controls are in NYC is dead. Yeah! So the solution is communism. To be fair, he says socialism, and once again, potato, potato. But if you call a socialist a communist, some people get their panties in a bunch. And price controls, yeah, that always makes shit affordable. It worked every time. Don't really care, they effectively are. I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. Mamdani ran a platform that included freezing rent, launching government-run grocery stores. I would not want government-run grocery stores. That just sounds like a bad idea.
Bad idea.
And raising the minimum wage to $30 an hour in the next 5 years. Hey, how did that $15 minimum wage go for the people that instituted that? How's that going in California? How's that going for all those part-time workers working 38 to 39 hours instead of getting 40? Because if they're not 40 hours, they're not full-time, and so they can get shit for wages. among other far-left policies. In his interview with Psaki, he described his run for mayor in New York as part of a larger referendum on where our party goes. Mamdani, who won against former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, as well as other candidates in the New York City mayoral primary, had a victory primarily driven by affluent white voters in Brooklyn and Queens. Crosstabs, men voted 56-44, Mamdani, women 52-48, Cuomo. White people 61-39, Mamdani. Hispanic 60-40, Cuomo. Black 62-38, Cuomo. Asian 79-21, Mamdani. What is it with like this suicidal tier empathy that white people seem to have? Where they're just like, why, yes, I would like to vote for policies that fuck me in the ass for being born the wrong race. I don't understand. Cuomo, however, won over black voters in the election. Mamdani won over middle as well as high-income voters, while lower-income voters came out in support of Cuomo. I 100% agree the path to victory for Democrats is definitely to lose black and Latino voters and focus primarily on whites with 4-year degrees that make over $100K a year. That's definitely a majority. Don't bother checking the demographics for yourself. What? Hopefully this will serve as a good example for the rest of the country of what not to do. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. He's I was gonna say, it sounds like a troll, but also, if they do focus on racist policies, I feel like white people with 4-year degrees that make over $100K a year are the most likely to vote for it, to be fair. I mean, the Martha's Vineyard people had no problem for that until Ron DeSantis threw all of the illegal immigrants in their backyard. DeSantis is based as fuck. I, for one, am looking forward to Alligator Alcatraz, honestly. Thank you, Alligator Alcatraz. It says, breaking, Karmelo Anthony submitted an indignant packet to the Collin County Court, requesting court-appointed legal representation as an indigent, a financially destitute defendant. However, just 24 hours ago, the Anthony family updated their Give, Send, Go campaign to reflect a need to raise an additional $1.4 million for a legal team. Carmelo Anthony's mother, Kayla Hayes, who manages the Give, Send, Go, stated on April 17th, 2 months ago, that they had just gained access to the funds. At the time, they had already raised $350,000. The fundraiser has now reached $538,000. According to a source, their current known attorney, Mike Howard, is more than likely charging a retainer fee of $10,000 to $30,000 and charges $400 to $500 per hour. Where did the money go? Why do they need $1.4 million? Will they be granted indigence and appointed an attorney with a Give, Send, Go of this magnitude? Is this considered fraud? These are all great questions, and it brings into question once again, there were a lot of people reporting that, like, the Anthony family rented out an incredibly expensive home after getting access to some of the Give, Send, Go money. They reported that they, like, bought a brand new Escalade or some shit. I have no idea if any of these things actually happened during the time of the Give, Send, Go. We also read previously, I'm pretty sure it was also Sarah, who brought up Facebook posts of the family moving back to Louisiana. I have no idea how much of this is true and real, but the fact that they have a $538,000 Give, Send, Go, that they got access to hundreds of thousands of dollars back in April, and they've now upped the Give, Send, Go to $1.4 million almost. How are they going to be able to claim that they need a public defender and they can't afford an actual defender when they're being given all of this money? It doesn't make any sense. Here is a video from April 17th of Carmelo Anthony's mother stating that they have access to the Give, Send, Go funds.
We were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we're being...
So they admitted that they already had access to hundreds of thousands of dollars from the campaign. Why do they need a public defender? Why are they saying that they are a destitute family that cannot afford one? The Anthony family updated their Give, Send, Go campaign to reflect a need to raise an additional amount of funds, bringing the goal to $1.4 million for a legal team. And then she posted something else that says, This is the Fair Defense Plan for Collin County District Courts on pages 4 and 5. It describes eligibility for indigency. I'm pronouncing that incorrectly every time, but that word escapes my brain. An application for indigency has to be declared truthful under penalty of perjury. Note on page 4, it states that relatives' money cannot be considered. That's interesting. That's interesting. If the give, send, go is under his parents' name and not under his name, I wonder if that's going to be a way for them to get like $1 million from the give, send, go, and also claim indigency in saying that Karmelo Anthony himself, those funds aren't under his name, so therefore he does not have the money for an attorney. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting. As a black guy, you despise that a lot of the black community is defending his behavior. He's a murderer. Karmelo Anthony is guilty and should be in jail. He does not deserve that money. It should go to the family who lost their son. I mean, I completely agree. I think it's really weird how many people rallied around Karmelo Anthony and again hoisted him up as some sort of like figure to protect and like deserves justice himself. And it's like the only justice he deserves is either the death penalty or rotting in prison for the rest of his fucking life, man. Like, it again just feels like living in clown world. The Metcalf family has a big heart. The dad's a cuck. The dad's an absolute cuck. We don't all defend that kid. Do a man's crime, serve a man's time. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely sane people not defending him, for fucking sure. The mother that lost her son, not the father who feels nothing. Yeah, true. The dad is a disgrace. I have a tab for that. This is from Vancouver is Awesome. Mom forgives British Columbia teen, I'm sure that's what BC stands for, who stabbed son, left him in care for life. Ezekiel Okumu pleaded guilty to aggravated assault on October 16th, 2024 in Vancouver Provincial Court. While the Crown is seeking 5 to 7 years prison for a 19-year-old charged with aggravated assault, the mother of the stabbing victim says her son and family have been handed a life sentence. Ezekiel Okumu pleaded guilty on October 16th before Vancouver Provincial Judge Reginald Harris, who heard sentencing submissions on March 28th. The stabbing on Vancouver's Grenville Street on May 26, 2024, left the 15-year-old victim in care for life. After the attack, he was resuscitated several times and suffered brain damage as a result of the attack. He cannot care for himself. Okumu swaggered into court on March 28th with his chin thrust out, but slumped in his seat as videos of the attack were shown. When several of his friends entered court, he turned, smiled, and saluted them. Crown Prosecutor Adrian Lee is seeking 5 to 7 years in prison, while defense lawyer Trevor Martin said that he would be seeking a sentence of 3 to 3.5 years. Neither of these are long enough! What the fuck? This is a tragic case, Lee told Harris. We have a boy who is alive, but his life is over. The victim, whose name is protected under a publication ban, will only be able to communicate through gestures for the rest of his life, Lee told the court. He has accepted responsibility and pleaded guilty, Martin said. He has expressed remorse. Wiping away tears, the victim's mother, who also cannot be identified, said her son was brutally stabbed. Now, she said, his every need has to be cared for. I watch my child in a body that no longer responds, she said. He cannot move on his own and relies on others to feed him and change him. Every day I see my son suffering. He cannot express his fear, his pain, or his wants. And she said the situation has left her family drowning financially. And then she forgave Okumu. She said she prays that he finds a better life rather than a path of destruction. And this is where I lose all fucking sympathy for her. I no longer give a shit that you're crying about your son suffering. I no longer give a shit that your family is drowning financially. I feel bad for your son and only your son, but I feel bad for you 0%. You do not forgive someone who deals this kind of damage to a family member of yours, to a child of yours, who had his entire life taken away at 15 years old. This is not when you practice forgiveness. This is just insanity to me. Okumu agreed to his youth record becoming a part of the adult proceeding. Lee said he has a record of violent behavior. So you're saying this could have been prevented if only police officers weren't terrified of being called racist. The defense opposed the psychological component, so no evidence regarding Okumu's mental health as a part of the trial record before Harris. What happened? Lee told Harris the victim and Okumu were among groups of teens who had gathered on the 800 block of Granville Street, with events all captured on video. She said there was nothing confrontational or aggressive seen on the video. The victim was no threat to Mr. Okumu. While the victim was with several other youths, Okumu was standing back, observing and filming the scene with his phone. He then moved in behind one youth near the victim. Okumu then lunges forward and stabs the victim in the chest with a knife held in his left hand. The cell phone remained in Okumu's right hand, filming events as they happened. The video presented to the court ends with an image of a gold knife. The video wound up on social media. Both Okumu and the victim then fled, the latter collapsing at the intersection of Howe and Smith Streets. He had suffered a penetrating wound to the chest, Lee said. Okumu, who has a previous conviction for aggravated assault, was under a court order to not possess knives, as an order he was found to have violated several times. Wow! I am shocked that criminals don't follow the rules. Holy shit! What a revelation! Typically, whenever we read these articles, somewhere in the article, you'll always hear he was known to police, he had a record of violent assaults, he wasn't allowed to possess firearms or knives or whatever weapon of choice he had. He's got prior convictions and prior arrests, but wasn't there one guy in New York that had like fucking 50 prior fucking assault arrests or some shit, and he was still out on the streets? Like, it was crazy. Say the line, police. Washington Post editor Tomas Legro has been arrested for possessing child pornography per U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. Legro's work laptop contained 11 videos depicting child sexual abuse material. What a shock to absolutely nobody! Investigate Washington Post. He just looks like a creeper, man. Like, the physiognomy checks out, brother. Pulitzer Award-winning journalist Thomas Legro, 48, made his first appearance today in U.S. District Court for allegedly possessing child pornography. Legro, a journalist at the Washington Post and a resident of Washington, D.C., was arrested yesterday and taken into custody following a search of his home. WAPO reporter arrested by DOJ for child porn won a Pulitzer for his coverage of Roy Moore. That's kind of crazy. Award-winning journalist in someone's bio should be a red flag at this point. 1,000%. Thomas Legro, 48, made his first appearance today. Legro, a journalist at the Washington Post and a resident of Washington, D.C., was arrested yesterday and taken into custody. And this is, I guess, his bio on the Washington Post. Jesus Christ, man. He just looks like he would have CP on his hard drive. In 2018, Tom Legro was part of a team of Post reporters who were awarded a Pulitzer Prize for coverage of the Senate candidacy of Roy Moore, in a subsequent effort to discredit the Post reporting. As deputy director of video, Tom oversees an award-winning team of video journalists who work across the newsroom, including in national, climate, metro, style, and technology. Tom joined video in 2013 as an editor on the breaking news desk, and in 2015 became the senior producer overseeing the international style and technology streams. And there was another tweet from the U.S. Attorney, D.C. Award-winning journalist arrested and charged with possession of child pornography. That's crazy. Be on the lookout for journalists with award-winning in bio. It's code for pedophile. That's funny. That's funny. Ken Stradamus has arrived. Oh, he did say that in fucking 2023. That's wild. I didn't even notice that when he linked it here. That's crazy.